So today you're stuck with regular old me. I'm sorry, Jack and Greg. I hope that it'll suffice. And of course, we're joined by, as always, all of you awesome people in the chat who are always happy to help out and give your own opinions and such. It's not like I'm the word of God. I will simply give you my perspective, and you can do with that as you will. It's up to you, really. So, that said, we got one Greg White who gave me 2 links. I have, oh, and actually before this, today was just all over the place, man. I had Sergio Ronchetti was supposed to be in alongside Jack. So it's supposed to be Jack Hyde and Sergio Ronchetti. But, and then Sergio hits me up after the whole PlayStation situation. And he's like, oh, I thought I was postponing. So it was like, no guests, no submissions. Well, I mean, Jack, of course, was still in there. One less submission. So, yeah, there was a miscommunication a while back, and both of us were unclear, as it turns out. And now Sergio's going to go in, like, January or something instead. We figured it out. So, after all that, here we are. We got it going. Greg, who actually... So, Sergio, I am acquainted with, just online only, because I played Eldest Souls, this game right here, during the some Steam demo festival thing. And, yeah, I just sort of ended up connecting somehow, and I was like, oh, you did this game that I played, and I have thoughts. Do you want them? So we talked for a long time about that. And then I saw Eldest Souls here, and turns out Greg is also working on this game, and has been pretty closely acquainted with Sergio for some time. So that's awesome. It was kind of an interesting, like, oh, we'll replace Sergio with Greg, with Gregory White instead, and it's the same, it's the same project. So, yeah, weird day for Real Talk, but here we are. Thank you all for rolling in. IG88, yo, back again. Good to see you. Damien Shepard, the Skaginator, Noodles and Tea. Nika Tunika, oh my goodness. What's up, man? I didn't see you roll in. And yes, Shirobon. They are very tight. I saw that on the album. Here, I'll link it in the chat because you should all go buy this album. You should buy all this stuff. It's super good. I saw that they had a special thanks to Berserk Studio, which is super cool. If you're unaware, just Shapes and Beats. Perhaps that's why. Is some of that stuff in their game? I'm not sure. I'll have to ask Mike or Latch about that. I would love to work with Shirobon one day. That'd be awesome. And freaking Cubby also right here. Good names. Not bad. Yeah, Amanemini, yo. Daydream Sound, yo. And Joe Marchuk, yo. Josh, good to see ya. We got Jack Hyde and Gregory White. Jack is in the chat. I see them. JCK Hyde. And Greg White. Both names have like full name and no vowels. What a day. What a day this is. I'm feeling weird. I'm feeling very off my rocker. Let's pause this and go ahead and start. Let's start with, let's see, who said something first in the chat? We got Greg. I think you're both in the UK, aren't you? I should just start doing this stream earlier. Everyone who submits is in the UK, it seems. Or many of those who submit are in the UK. I was actually talking to, oh man, who the hell was it? Ranga Ilaperima, I think it was. Yeah, that sounds right. Fat Shark. And yeah, they're in Sweden, right? And I was saying it might be a move to maybe in the new year, like start doing Real Talk at like noon instead. Damien, settle down. Yeah, because noon would be kind of like fine for North America and also tolerable for lots of Europe. So that might be the move. I'll talk it over with the team and see if that makes sense. I kind of like ending our workday with this, but I mean, I'm literally going to go back to work on Me Boy Forever after this stream. So I guess it doesn't really matter sometimes. But yeah, I'm sure that would probably be appreciated by many people to not be up so damn late. And it would also open up to things like guest hosts from studios in Europe. which aren't going to be, on at 2 a.m. Speaking of which, before we get started, some quick news. In 2 weeks, we are going to have Jonas Turner on as a guest host, who has been working on, not working on, but worked on for some time, and is now released a game I'm now playing a lot, called Scourgebringer, which is, I'm really enjoying it. Really, really enjoying it. Here it is. Pretty rad. Yeah, Jonas is one of those unicorns that we have mentioned in past streams who can do it all. They did both music and sound for this game and killed it. It's super, super good. I didn't know he was involved, and I saw this trailer a while back, and I was like, oh man, I hope Jonas worked on that game, because it's very likely that it kicks ass if he did. Yeah, he's all about these hard hitting, sound effects and very in your face music that somehow, but he's very good at recognizing ear fatigue, and he's also masterful at mixing too, in terms of being able to recognize that there is a limit to how much water goes in the cup, and you need to remove some to put more in sometimes, right? So he'll have some huge sound like a nuclear throne. They did sidechaining for all the weapons, basically, or the majority thereof. And the larger the weapon, the bigger the explosion, the more it ducked everything else. So you have some weapons that just duck the entire mix to make room for the explosion, right? So yeah, he's super talented, and I'm really jacked that he's making time for it. But the tangent there being, it's going to be 2 a.m. in Finland or something when he rolls in. So I can't help but feel a little bit guilty about that. Yeah, so perhaps in the new year, and feel free to weigh in the chat if a noon time, that'd be 4 hours ago from now, basically, compared to now. It's 4 p.m. PST right now for me, so it'd be noon PST. That might be a consideration for January 7th. We'll see. Also lunchtime for some, yeah, certainly. Okay, so I was looking at the chat, and I saw Greg first. So it's 4 a.m., says Joe. Oh no. I did consider that going the other way too. So I feel like it's a pretty international audience show, so it's hard to find a time that works for everyone. We'll just alternate 4 p.m. PST and noon every 2 weeks or something. Okay, so Greg White. Let's go ahead and get started. I see it's Gregory White. I know a Greg White here in town, actually in Vancouver. He's an artist, 2D artist, UI artist. So I keep saying Greg White. Do you prefer Gregory? I see it's Greg in the chat too, mind you. So perhaps both are okay. I don't know. Let me know. Gregory White sent 2 links across. Excuse me. And we got a YouTube thing that's 2 minutes long, and I got a .co.uk classic web page here that I've not zoomed in yet. Let's zoom in. Let's go let's go 200. It's a lot, but we'll make it easier to see for the stream. Excuse me. Oh my God, I'm having this bubbly right now. Probably a bad choice for the stream. Show reel. So we're not on that page right now. Show reel goes to here, which looks like the same video. Is it 158 long? It is. Yeah. Okay. And we got home. That's where we were. Okay. So home has these various kind of collaged things. Oh, the links stay on top of the images. That's kind of strange. All right. So we have what? Technical production for interactive and spatial audio. Interactive and spatial, like physical space audio? It looks like it's like a thing in a tree here or something. Eldest Souls, Living Symphonies. Okay. Turn of the Screw. Yeah, this text is getting the best of me right now. What was that text I saw briefly? Oh, it's that. I moused over project, I see. Yeah, I mean, if you can swing it, I'd recommend either, well, probably keeping this at the top, but like, you know, make it so there's like a line is here and this stuff goes behind it. Does that make sense? Just to have these things unobscured. And also the images unobscured by the text. Just looks kind of a little bit messy. Dank Yarton? Dan Kjartan. I can say not Dank. Dan Kjartan, is that right? Your first time watching the stream, you know Greg's stuff from the Euro Rack world. Funny coincidence. Oh, crazy. Okay. You're known for your Euro Rack contributions, apparently. Okay, we got Turn of the Screw. We got BBC Proms Still Point. Okay. White Noises. Okay. Hampton Court Palace. Interesting. This spatial audio thing is really interesting to me. Dawn's Nest in C++. Okay. There's a lot of things here. Progress Music. Cathedral of Nature. Okay. So, interesting. The front page is kind of like a bit of a project's breakdown. The layout is a little interesting. I'm not sure I'm super down with it. It's kind of hard to, I mean, look at it. Here's the full, no, it doesn't matter. Here's the full, this is 100% versus 200. All that changes is the text size. So I'll stay 200. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about the layout. That's just like a taste thing, probably. Kitsune, what's up? Yo. It's website and portfolio and showreel. It's kind of everything. We're looking at a variety of things as the constructive criticism is all in the interest of hoping to improve things and add to your chances of being hired, basically. So when you submit your demo reel, yeah, it's kind of like your foot in the door, but it's not the only important thing. So that's why we look at the website and stuff also. It's kind of like a 1-2 punch, right? Hopefully that 2 is also there to follow up after the 1. Okay, so yeah, this front page is a little bit, this comes down to your choice, right? It's kind of like, as I'm sure many people in the chat are aware, I'm a big fan of putting like a really, really clear directive on the front page. And something like this page gives a very, very clear directive. It's like, hey, welcome to the site. I know why you're here. You want to see what I'm all about. And here is that answer for you. This is what I'm all about right here. Whereas if I go to home, if I land here, it's interesting. Definitely. I mean, I'm certainly interested by the idea of spatial audio, and I'm interested by this like living symphonies thing. This tree is gorgeous, and there's a thing in it. It's interesting, but you immediately lose control, arguably. You lose control of what the visitor to your site's going to do. They might click this thing because it's like top left. They might click this because they're into games. They might click like whatever, right? You don't really have control over that. And like these things down here become less and less likely to be clicked as we scroll down the page, of course. Let's go project. So are these the same pages as like this? If I click here, Living Symphonies, I get this page. If I go here, it looks like the same page. Okay. So this is interesting then. Because it seems there's kind of like some redundancy in navigation. Like you have up here, but you also have the exact same stuff on your home page. Because I think, if I'm not mistaken, these are all things that are listed on the front page too. I think these are all of them. So yeah, it's sort of a question of, and like I'm by no means like a UX expert or anything, but just, you know, my own kind of like inclination and perspective as far as how I would interact with your page. This tree is nuts, by the way. What is the deal with this tree? It's gorgeous. Holy. So nice. Living Symphonies. Super cool. I do want to read this, actually. I'm really curious. But let's go to the about first. Let's see here. Brad, Richard, what's up? Glad to see you catching Real Talk again. Welcome on in. And Simply Steve says, technical audio producer gives me the idea you're more production focused versus audio, for what it's worth. Perhaps. Biography. Greg is a technical audio producer. There it is, specializing in interactive and spatial audio for installation art and video games. Those two things. That's really interesting. He is based in London, UK. Equally comfortable working on projects for Screens Forest Ecosystems or the Royal Albert Hall. He is most passionate about crafting professional quality interactive audio experiences. There's certainly a lot of parallel there. It's certainly it's a Venn diagram, and you can certainly occupy the overlap. That's really cool. Greg has direct experience working through many stages of the audio production process, including the recording and editing of AAA quality audio assets, designs of adaptive music systems, and implementation of audio using middleware or custom tools built specifically for the project at hand. Okay, he also runs White Noises, we saw on the front page, an online educational resource aiming to broaden the awareness and understanding of experimental music and modular synthesizers. These topics are made approachable through tutorial videos on the White Noises YouTube channel. In the process, Greg hopes to build a passionate and inclusive community of musicians who are as excited about sharing knowledge as they are about making music. Cool. Clients, and there they are. All right. Okay. Well, you might benefit from talking to Mark Straight, actually. Mark is a bit of a veteran in the game audio scene, and he also worked on a lot of installation audio, in particular like haunted houses and stuff. He's got a lot of really crazy stuff he's shared with me in the past, just like getting lunch or getting a drink at various conferences when he's in Vancouver or wherever. Yeah, Mark Straight is the best, and you could probably, you have lots to talk about probably, I'm guessing. Okay, well, back to, we'll just look around first. Contact, we'll go over here. We got the form and an email. Sure. Instagram, sure. Twitter. Why not link? Why not link these? You're making me do more work. I want to see what's in your Instagram. Let's see here. Greg White. Here we go. And the Instagram is relevant. Cool. I thought it might be given everything we just read. Very cool. Yeah, you're obviously a huge audio nerd, and that's very clear to see. Excellent. It's linked here also. Like, yeah, okay, sure. And then, the classic. Is this a share link? Yeah, this smacks of like of template stuff. Like if I click, why would I? This is one of those things that is very unlikely to be ever used, and just smells like there is a checkbox in a template that you left checked and probably didn't have to. That's what it comes across like. And stuff like the page kind of scrolling up past the top and stuff. It's just sort of, it could use a little more polish. Just yeah. And I'm not trying to be like a nitpicky or anything, but it just comes down to the idea that if someone rolls into your page and it's like super polished up from an interaction standpoint and like a aesthetic standpoint, then it's not such a crazy conclusion to draw that you would also apply that same attention to detail in your audio work, right? So yeah, it's certainly relevant, even though it might not seem so, since we're in the audio scene. Let's go ahead and I guess I was watching this page instead. It's the same one. And we got contact stuff in the... Oh. Is it the same? Let me see here. Contact. Greg at White Noises. And this one says gcwhitemail@gmail.com. Fair enough. Up to you, I guess. Let's go full volume everywhere. Good. Full screen. For the record, I definitely recommend a minute. And I haven't watched this yet. I have no idea what to expect. So we'll see. It could be all the stuff that you just had on that front page, in which case it might hold our attention. Who knows? But in general, definitely recommend like a minute to give the gist, and then further materials like, secondary video materials that someone could watch if they so desired. If they said, hey, you know what? Gregory White seems pretty rad and I want to learn more, then they can go to your portfolio page and see like the video breakdown of living symphonies or whatever, right? So let's go ahead and press play. I'll turn my sidechain off and let's go.
Hi, I'm Gregory White. I'm a technical audio producer who specializes in interactive and spatial audio for installation art and video games. I'm based in London, and here are just some of my favorite projects from the last few years. Eldest Souls, an upcoming title for PC and Nintendo Switch, is the first video game that I've worked on, and I'm really excited to dive further into the world of game audio. For Eldest Souls, which is built with the Unity and Fmod, I edited and mixed the intense and pounding orchestral score, creating assets which would allow for dynamic changes in the composition, as written by the composer Sergio Ronchetti. Outside of video games,
Okay, so I'm pausing here because while this is interesting, Ashton says, this is some new territory. Yes, exactly. While this is interesting, and perhaps I'll take a step back first, Greg, just so you know why it's interesting. Okay, this is literally, I think I don't know how many reels we've done. We've had like 140 shows-ish, and at least one per show, and usually two. So I would guess we're probably in the neighborhood of like 200 reels we've looked at ish. Maybe more, probably more. This is literally the first time I've ever heard voice in a demo reel. The first time. So that's not to say it's wrong. I'm really not about that. I've seen some really crazy approaches to a demo reel, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is actually pretty interesting to kind of, challenge the form, basically. But here is the thing. In the first 40 seconds, I do feel, that I've gotten to know you a bit, which is certainly a positive thing. I think that's pretty valuable, and that's why I always push people to include voiceover narrations in things like implementation breakdown videos and such, for saying, hey, like, here's the thing I did for Eldest Souls. It's way more effective to have what you just did than something similar to what you just did in terms of your voice being included in the video, compared to like the Arial font text on the screen that says, here's what I did in Fmod, have a look. And you're like reading the text while they're doing the thing in Fmod. And it's just not very effective because I'm trying to see two things at once and internalize it all and like hear it all. It's just not very good. Whereas if you're walking somebody through something, there is this kind of like positive side effect of getting to know you a bit. And then when I want to interview you, I feel like it's not a blank slate. I feel like I already have a small idea of what makes you tick, and I've heard your voice already, and I can hear you're clearly interested and passionate about what you're describing. So this is all very positive, but in 40 seconds of this demo reel, I don't yet know if anything I've heard is yours, and I may have missed something. I'm going to go back through here. Here is technical audio producer, and it's like it's pretty high octane. I'm Gregory White. I'm sweet. Here's why. And that's really cool. But I haven't learned anything about the actual work yet. I learned that you did some work and you worked with Sergio Ronchetti, which I already knew just by coincidence. And I've learned it's your first game, and I've learned that you're really excited about it. And that's what I've learned in 40 seconds. So in 40 seconds, I don't really know yet at all if you have the skills I'm looking for, like as a, like role playing as like the guy doing the hiring, right? Yeah, that's definitely a pretty massive consideration. And the reason I said earlier, like a minute's a good length to aim for. And the reason for that is that it's really, really important to understand that people who are looking for help, who are looking to hire somebody, be it recruiters or some audio director or like an indie dev or something, they're busy and their time is really valuable. So it's really important to use that time really, really wisely. And it's not to say that this 40 seconds of intro had zero value. It certainly had some value, as I've already said. But in terms of adjudication of your skill sets, it's told me basically nothing. And I didn't see you say in the chat yet or not if no, the last thing you said was about a tree. So yeah, so is that music by you in this first 40 seconds? I'm really curious. Because yes, when I heard the voice, I'm not sure if anyone saw my face. I was like, whoa! I kind of like recoiled. And I wasn't in disgust or anything. I was just really surprised to hear someone speaking in their demo reel. I saw someone say in the chat, it was Tuba Hero. Hey, I'm Greg White. Thanks for checking out my reel. Hope you enjoy. Sure, maybe. That might be cool. And then we'll launch into the sounds, the music, the things you've done. But it's tricky because if you're doing spatial audio, like you just do I guess we'll see more. We have a minute and 20 left, so perhaps I should stop talking and just watch the whole thing through. And we'll come back and continue this conversation shortly. Okay, here we go.
Most of the projects I work on are public art installations, and outside of video games, most of the projects I work on are public art installations and interactive experiences. A prime example is Living Symphonies, a large-scale, multi-channel, dynamic composition for forest ecosystems, created by artist duo James Bully and Daniel Jones. I had many responsibilities on this project, ranging from collaborating with Dan to help develop and debug the custom spatialization and modeling software, to highly detailed editing of musical assets composed by James, before implementing them into the adaptive music system.
Cool.
I've been really fortunate to work on a wide range of public art projects, including deeply immersive VR experiences, enormous interactive video walls driven by Kinect, and web-based spatial audio projects, many of which are built using game engines like Unreal and Unity. For these projects, I really enjoy diving into the detailed work of creating carefully edited, professional quality audio assets, collaborating on the design and debugging of adaptive musical systems, and implementing the audio using middleware like Fmod or custom tools developed specifically for the project. If you'd like to learn more about me or any of these projects, please check out my portfolio website or get in touch via any of the channels below. Cheers!
Cool. Yeah, I like you already. You know? It's just really interesting because you've got
Game that I've worked on, and
you've got this challenging situation where your work is highly technical and you're faced with, well, how do I showcase this? So I get that. Yeah, also Joe Marchuk on point. You have a lovely speaking voice. I'm jealous. As I'm sure everyone watching now can attest, he's got a much better speaking voice than I do. As a guy who did a ton of speech therapy to improve what you're hearing right now, and this is not quite where I'd like it to be all the time. So nice work on the voice, very nice. And the thing is, there's also the side effect of when you edit your own voice, you're kind of showcasing your voice editing ability, like you're recording and editing and so forth, right? And processing. So it sounded good. And the mixing too, actually. I heard every word. And that's really relevant. We've heard ones where it's like a narrated walkthrough of something someone worked on. And it's like their voice is being stomped by the audio they're playing. And it's like, well, I can't hear what you're talking about, which just doesn't speak well to someone's concept of what a solid mix sounds like. So yeah, that's a problem. This is nice though. Sounds great. I think you could probably still stand to be a little clearer. I don't know if the narration is going to work, honestly, because it's like this really highly depends. Yeah, perhaps that's a better thing to ask. Not whether this will work, but rather what purpose do you want this video to serve? Do you want this video to simply stand as a, hey, here's like an intro to me. I will be doing my own stuff over here, and feel free to take interest if you like, but no pressure. Or is it like, hey, I'm looking for more projects, for more collaborators. I'm in the market and I'm sweet. Look how awesome I am. Hire me. Because those two things are certainly both valid, but they will need to have been crafted differently to achieve their goals, right? Yeah, because the VO on as Ashton's saying, on a detailed breakdown of these things, I mean, maybe you did. Let's have a look. Did you already do this and we just didn't realize it yet? Let's go to projects like Living Symphonies, sure. So here is a video on this. Is this like your video? It's Vimeo now, so probably not. It's not. It might still be a breakdown though, we'll see. See, now this is a wonderful example of I'm deeply interested, but this video is like telling me nothing so far in the first 30 seconds. Right, gonna stop there. So that's a heavy, like, here is the gist for any viewer, but as I'm on your page, this is cool. Look at this. That's sweet. Nice work. I want to hear what you did and how it worked, though. You know? You gave a real cursory glance at it in your main video, but I would love like an 8-minute video of you walking through all this and how it all works. That'd be so cool. Because this is so unique. And the thing is, as someone looking through Reels, unique is good. It's very good. It's how you stand out in some positive way, right? That whole distinction thing down here. We kind of glazed over that. I know we kind of skipped the whole thing as far as criteria, but these are the things we're looking at on each page, generally, very, very generally. That video is planned. Cool. Yeah, I can't wait. Tell me when it's up, please. I will 100% watch it. Eldest Souls, like, do you have things about this here? So music mix engineer for Fallen Flag. Use Pro Tools and Logic. Interesting. Oh, it's just the trailer. Yeah, okay, I've seen that. So, great. About the game. Yeah, again, this is like about the game. Oh, this is all the game. It seems like a copy paste from their press kit, basically. See, that's the kind of thing you can probably afford to have omitted and then have like a link to the game somewhere. Just the idea of, I mean, again, this is like all my personal opinions. if I wanted to learn more about the game, I would assume that information could be found on the game's website or like something similar like that, you know? But if I'm on your website, the information I probably want to learn is more centered around you and less about how every encounter will the old gods. Oh no, it's a typo. With the old gods, right? Isn't this with? Every encounter with the old gods is a unique new challenge. There you go. You're you're being tainted by their typos. Oh no. Unless it's yours, I don't know. Maybe it's your typo. Yeah, this isn't relevant to you. You know. Your role. This is relevant to you. Working with composer, sound designer Sergio Ranchetti to mix and master the game's orchestral score. Okay, great. All right, cool. And here is just a screenshot. Yes, so this is a wonderful place to put examples of the work you did for the project. And I recognize, I don't think it's out yet, if I am correct. Or is it out soon? I think it's out soon. Is it on the trailer? Please. When? When's it out? Tell me when it's out. No help. I don't know if it's out yet. I don't think it's out yet. I do want to play it when it's out, so if it is, then tell me. Let's see. So, Ali, what's up, pal? It's interesting, but I can't sidestep the need to hear some audio you made if looking for an audio designer role. Yeah. Feel like even just a 20-second redesign with good sound will get me a long way towards that trust. Yeah, I mean, if you're strictly technical and yeah, like your qualifications, okay, sure, but like, do you code? Is there a resume somewhere? Is that like I'm not fully clear on what you want to be doing. And that comes down to like the material selection down below probably. It's really interesting. These things you've got on your page are interesting. They interest me, certainly. But I have no idea if you would be the right person for a job that I have available because I don't know what you want to be doing. Does that make sense? Like your skills and such are part of that. It certainly measures in, but your what you want to do is also super important. Because if I've got someone, let's say, who is super good at sound design, has a background in music, and has implementation experience, and has a bunch of other bonuses here and there, and I'm like, oh my goodness, they're like an amazing hire for Power Up Audio as an example. We're not hiring, but as an example. But turns out they want nothing more than to work at Riot Games. I mean, that's not like they want to work on MOBAs or something, or they want to work on League. Well, then they aren't a good hire for me, even though our team looked over their resume and said, oh, wow, they have everything we need. It's really important to know what they want too, right? So I think that's something that is greatly missing from this page is some manner of communication about what it is you want to be doing. So yeah, please feel free to say so in the chat as far as what you're looking to be doing. Oh, you said right now. So I mainly want to work on music editing and implementation for games. Most of my work thus far has been as a composer's assistant. Interesting. So that's definitely a AAA role. AAA studios tend to really like divide the task a lot. You have 20 people in an audio team for a given project rather than like 1 or 2 for Eldest Souls kind of thing, right? So I think Sergio's doing sound and music, if I'm not mistaken. And in that case, you helped him out with some music mixing and editing and such. So yeah, it might be like if you're technical only, that certainly does exist, but yeah, you need to be able to show your work somewhere. Like saying you did things in Fmod, fine, but showing that work in some capacity is really, really important. So this reel was prepared for a music editor job at PlayStation. Yeah, there you go. Right. Cool. I mean, I can't speak to what they're looking for specifically, but having things like, I mean, for example, saying Eldest Souls is the first game I worked on. What did you say again? Let's listen to that again. You said it's the first game I worked on and something. Play.
Installation art and video. Eldest Souls, an upcoming title for PC and Nintendo Switch, is the first video game that I've worked on, and I'm really excited to dive further into the world of game audio. For Eldest Souls, which is built with the Unity and Fmod, I edited...
Right, so it's the first game you've worked on and you want to work on more. Sure. The thing is, this project doesn't at all resemble PlayStation's projects, right? So you're faced with communicating that you only have one game on your page. So although you say, I'm excited to do more, showing that goes a lot farther, is much more effective than just saying like, I'm looking forward to doing more games, you know? Because basically every person in the world who's looking for game audio work is quote unquote excited to do more games, right? So you're faced with, well, how do I separate myself from everyone else? And that's really up to you. I mean, there's been some great suggestions in the chat so far, but Ali said, you know, they can't sidestep that some audio needs to be heard if you're looking for some kind of audio role. Yeah, super, super important. Tony, oh man, I'm hoping this is my last game. I hope I never find work again. I can't wait. I can't wait to find out. This is the last one. Yeah. So it's tricky because the spatial stuff is highly interactive and really interesting. So it's not like this doesn't belong on this page. Like I was saying, the Venn diagram has this spot in the middle where you want to hang out. But it just needs to be presented in a way that is much more about the work rather than more about the process and the challenges you faced and the solutions you found, rather than just like, here's like a rundown on like what the thing is. Because that's a good start, but it doesn't help people make decisions about your skills or your abilities or like level of expertise or like interest in games or whatever, right? Yeah, and the thing is, it's because you sound so interested in your voiceover, it's like, I want to learn more. You know, that's the thing. If there was no voiceover, I'd be like, oh, this is kind of a vague reel, and oh well, moving on. But because you sound so earnest and so interested, I'm like, well, you know what? Maybe they're awesome. I should probably learn more. So that's the tragedy here, man, is I want to learn more, and I kind of can't. You know, Eldest Souls has nothing about the work you did, just says you did some stuff. But there's nothing I can listen to or look at or learn more about. So that's really the biggest piece of advice I can hand your way, is just show more things. Yeah. Although let's just take a glance at white noises. I'm really interested with this, and I'll move on to Jack pretty quick here. So granular synth.
Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to be explaining granular synthesis.
So this is I think I recall from your about paragraph, is like this is a tutorial or something? Is that what I recall? Forgive me, I read a lot of stuff already. So educational resource to broaden awareness of, okay, yeah, so it's like it's that. That too, by the way, this like drop down just totally stomps on your existing text. So this needs some love. White noises, please. White noises. Okay.
Hello everybody, in this video I'm going to be explaining granular synthesis. Granular synthesis is kind of a catch-all term which is used to describe anything that processes audio using the concept of granulation. This is where you take an audio signal, which could be anything really, it could be some samples or...
This is super cool. I'm stoked you're doing this. It seems there are many things. Euclidean rhythms. Let's go. Okay. Yeah, like you're clearly invested in your craft. And that's really, really awesome. That's super, super positive. You ask what kind of examples would be good to include? Video clips of examples, more text description, etc. I mean, yeah, like, let's go to your eldest souls again. Like tools used, sure. Duties, sure. And then so the project link's right here. So that's why you don't need all this nonsense, like about the project stuff. Awards, sure. Okay, that can be worth having there. We certainly have awards and like recognition on our website. You got working. So your role was working with composer, sound designer Sergio Ronchetti to mix and master the game's orchestral score. You created an orchestral mixing template, laid out Pro Tools sessions, mixing, mastering audio stems. Yeah, like the thing that you would show here is what that looked like what the process looked like. And if you're talking about working in like Fmod and stuff, and you're looking to do implementation, then yeah, I mean, Ali just said it right now. So I'd want to see you talk through a complex Fmod music event from a design perspective, perhaps a quick show of your DAW session. Yeah, just show what it looks like from the top down as far as you working on stuff, you know? There's certain events I've made in Fmod that are crazy, and I could certainly do like a talk on. For all the music in OKKO Let's Play Heroes, you know that game? This one here. So the entire soundtrack was in one Fmod event. I'm not lying. Like the entire thing. It's the whole of the soundtrack was in a single event, and it was crazy how it transitioned everywhere. There was like it went like into each track. It was like the vinyl like spins down and like spins up in the next track for every single transition across the entire game. So like that's the kind of thing that is crazy. And working with Dose One, with Adam, like he was like, sure man, if we can do it, like I will make it work. And we just put every single song in the game on a cohesive BPM or coherent BPM, so they can all hang out in the same room. And that was the event. Like if you walked me through something you made in that respect, then awesome. And you can just, you know, you don't need to do it for a game, but you can imagine like, oh, so let's just, you know, theoretically, let's say there was a boss battle here, and there's like 3 phases. Well, here's what I would do if it like went from phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3. Also, if you're like low on health, we like introduce this layer, like just stuff like that. You can just talk someone through that and just show that you're thinking like from a gaming perspective, like you have gaming sensibilities. And I think that'll go a long way. Certainly much further than nothing, right? Because right now there's nothing to see. And the show reel kind of like describes that you did things. But again, we didn't see any of the work you did. We just know you did them. It's like you kind of might as well have been like reading out your resume. There certainly were audio things in there that we can hear, but it wasn't clear like if that was your work or like as you said with the Eldest Souls thing, that was your mixing, I think. But I don't think you actually said anywhere. You may have said out loud that you mixed the music and stuff, but nowhere do you say that the things we're hearing right now, oh my god, this... You know why I couldn't click that? It's because your name was in the way. I couldn't click because it says Gregory White 2020. The fact that you said you did the mixing doesn't mean that the music we're hearing is also like what you're talking about, you know? So it just needs to be really, really clear that the thing in the reel is what it is your work, and then we can listen to it and say, oh, cool, you mixed this. In that case, I'll listen to it for the mixing. And if it sounds muddy or boxy or whatever, piercing, I'd be like, okay, well, noted, and we'll move on. If it sounds sweet and super clear, then cool, also informative, right? But right now, I watched 40 seconds and I had no idea if that was your work. It's like maybe assumable, but just don't leave things up to assumptions. Just say, this is what I did, and a title at the bottom, like, boom, I did music mixing. Can't hurt. You worked with Dose One. Yes, I worked with Dose One. I have. He is nuts and super talented. He's very, very cool. Okay, so I think that's probably enough for now, Greg. I mean, yeah, feel free to follow up if you have any questions. This is really unique. This is one of the more challenging bits of feedback we've had to give. I think that some regulars in the chat could probably agree with that. This is really interesting, and you have a super cool background, and I think that you are worth learning more about. And I only wish there was some way to do that in your website. Just ways to see what you're working on and how you're doing it. So, and again, balancing that with being respectful of people's time and like courteous of people's time on your website. Because of course you have all these tutorials and stuff, but no one's going to watch 2 hours of tutorials to get an idea if you are the right fit for their project. So that is the challenge you are now facing. There you go. Super impressive. Are you standing out? Like, kinda. Like, that's what I'm saying. This is the tragedy. So as I'm saying, of course, right now, the criteria down below, the distinction standpoint, or bullet point rather, distinction. Are you standing out in some positive way? Even if I wouldn't hire you right now, are you standing out in some positive way? And yeah, as I was saying, it's kind of a tragedy because this is really unique. And I mean, of course it stands out if it's unique, right? But I just don't have the information I need to make a call if I want to hire you or not. And that goes for, I assume that would probably go for PlayStation also. If you were to be given an interview there, they'd probably have a lot of questions about the work on your site because there aren't answers here, right? So there you go. I would love to see what you come up with in terms of solutions to some of those problems, as far as the kind of work you might put up to answer questions that you can guess that visitors to your site might have. That's your goal, is say, what might people wonder, and then have an answer for it. Like, well, here you go. You want to know like what the music mixing entailed? Well, I have a video for that. Here you go. And they have an answer, right? And of course, you want that. You want people to be interested in your stuff enough they click through and watch more things, because the more impressions you make, it's only going to be a better impression overall. There you go. So thanks, Greg. Super cool. Just, yeah. Unique. Certainly unique. Jack, Hyde. Thank you for your patience. Let's go ahead and blast through here. We got okay, this is pretty template also. Got some leaves up top. About, a few things. Sound design, a few things. A couple things. And contact. We got the reel up front. As we've said, nice choice. Good choice. We got, film and TV also. One of those. An email and elsewhere. More things that go. Cool. Great. Yeah, cheers, Greg, of course. And as I said, feel free to follow up if you have any questions on Twitter or wherever. Happy to chat. Okay, so game audio reels up top. This suggests heavily that you want to do game audio and not film and TV if film and TV comes second. And if that is true, then cool. If not, if they're equal, then that's maybe a different conversation, but we can talk about that. Let's go to the about. If I click about, what happens? Nothing. It sure seems like a link with the little cursor changing, but oh well. Can I zoom in more? Go like 200 again. About. Let's go bio. There he is, Jack Hyde. Jack Hyde is a sound designer and composer based in London, UK. Again, UK. I was right. Fascinated by the medium of sound, double space, He enjoys creating rich and evocative atmospheres which engage the listener. Each project is distinct and is informed by deep ties to location, texture, and mood. Hyde draws from an extensive background in field recording and is trained alongside professional sound recordists Chris Watson and Jez Riley French. With a background in post-production audio, he has excellent professional experience recording, editing, and mixing sound for a variety of contexts. Okay, cool. This bio is a little bit cool and a little bit generic. Ali says, damn, Chris Watson. There you go. So right away, this is a cool sentence to have in there. I would suggest that when you write your bio, and I say this as a guy who hates writing his bio. I think all of us do. It's never an enjoyable process, is it? Whenever you finish a sentence, read it back and say, is this really about me specifically? Because there's stuff like this, like fascinated by the medium of sound. That is hopefully literally every person that's ever been on Real Talk, you know? He enjoys creating rich and evocative atmospheres which engage the listener. Again, pretty blanket, like most people. Each project is distinct and is informed by deep ties to location, texture, and mood. Okay, sure, I haven't seen that as often, but that's kind of like you're describing audio direction, basically, right? Which is not really you. Like this could describe like every single game that's ever won an award, if that makes sense. It's, I agree, that's a good direction to go in, to have things informed by, reference or whatever, ideas, concepts, location, texture, mood. But it's not you. Like I'm not learning about you with that sentence. And you have a background in post-production. Cool. You have excellent professional experience recording, editing, mixing sound for a variety of contexts. Cool. Like, yeah, saying like, this is my background and here are the things I've done is like much more valuable for a bio. Like, oh, well, how long was your background? Did you work for like 2 months? Did you work for 6 years? Like that's relevant information. The thing about this page, like this is, as I was saying, like the two of the 1-2 punch. The one being the demo reel. Greg, pleasure. It's 1 a.m. Go to bed. Jack is also falling asleep right now. I apologize to both of you. So, the one being the demo reel. If your demo reel kicks ass, then and only then will people have any reason to learn more about you. And that might sound kind of ruthless, but again, as Damien was saying, he's hiring folks, only had like 30 reels to look at, not to throw any shade at Damien with only 30, but yeah, we've had AAA folks on here who have said they received like several hundred reels, right? Or resumes, like 800 sometimes. It's a lot for big studios. So if you are fortunate enough to have someone click through and read more things, to watch more videos or read your bio or anything, it should be ideally crafted so that the time spent there is very effective, is very efficient. And so yeah, learning things like, oh, you worked 4 years. Is it 4 years? 4 years in a post house for advertising. That's really, really relevant, super relevant information compared to I worked for a month. I interned for 2 weeks at a post house doing like dialogue editing. That's not nearly the same thing as I worked 4 years at a post-production house. Because yeah, it is a challenge. I mean, so far, because A, you're on this show, and B, you have Game Audio Reel first on your webpage, on your homepage. I'm assuming you're looking to make a transition into game audio from post-pro, right? It's challenging, And the big challenge there is proving that you have sensibilities when it comes to interactive audio and you have skills when it comes to interactive audio. Those two things are really important. Because taste is something that exists in post-production too. Doing like a linear trailer for a game is not so different than a linear trailer for like, Ant-Man or whatever, right? But to have interactive experience, to know things like you have any interesting games. Like right now in this whole thing, you like sound, you like atmospheres, and you know what audio direction is, and you've done field recording, and you've done post-production audio, recording, editing, and mixing sound for a variety of contexts. So this is the closest we get to games, right? Like a variety of contexts is not, it's not really selling the idea that you want to work in games. And realize, of course, that when you are applying to some studio, you are up against people that are very, very invested in games. So that is the challenge you're facing, is to say, you know what? Yes, I do have this different background. They've been in games their whole life. I'm kind of like the new kid in the block looking to, make a stand and impress some folks. And you know what? Listen to this thing. I think you'll like it, right? It's like, oh, you know what? I actually am. I'm listening to your stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, he came from post-production, but his game stuff seems pretty sick. Let's go select projects. We'll see. We got Terra, Obelisk, Field Recording, Lowlands, Listening Bodies, R-Cube, Loch Beanie, Biotop. There's some things here. Cool. Let's do Reel. Back to the front page again. Yeah. Okay. So let's watch this thing. Yeah. I'm just gonna catch up in the chat really quick. Also 2 minutes. Crazy. That often happens on Real Talk for some reason. We'll have like two people that have very similar lengths of reels or like approaches to their site or whatever. I don't know why it always happens that way. What are everyone's recommendations on web page building sites? Before reading through everything, I don't really have I don't think that there is a best choice. It mainly comes down to, okay, well here is the thing. So this is something we've brought up on Real Talk from time to time, and it's the concept of trust and risk when it comes to hiring. If someone's looking to hire someone, they are looking to assume a risk, and that risk is, can this person be trusted? That makes sense? It's not just you convincing them that you have the skills necessary to do the job. It's also convincing, yes, you will get the job done. Because speaking from experience, we've literally hired contractors who got the contract, signed the contract, and then did zero work. And in the end, I had to work overtime, just 2 work days in one day to get this deadline hit, right? And it's unfortunate, obviously, because the whole purpose of hiring that person was so that I didn't have to work so much, or Jeff didn't have to work so much. And it happened in the end. So we did risk assessment, and in the end, didn't work out. So ideally, if you can be convincing about the idea that you are the least risk of all the candidates, then you will be hired. That's what the metric is, right? And the risk comes into things like showing you're passionate about things, having personal projects that you did on your own time that you didn't have to do, but it proves you love the craft. Showing work in Wise or Fmod or in Unity or whatever, showing that you have the chops, relevant also, and showing you have good taste, and showing you work on the kind of games that their project resembles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So all these things measure into, pluses and minuses, and the person with the most pluses represents the person with the least risk to hire. Coming back to the website now, if you're looking at a website and it looks obviously template, and there's things like, not to rag on Greg, now that he's left the room, but things like that share widget in the top right of his page, it's like share the page. No one's ever going to use that, and it just smacks of okay, it's not super polished, and this is obviously a web page template that perhaps Greg could put more time into, right? If they're super I mean, they might be forgiving. They might be like very like, oh, geez, like who is this clown? Like it could be, it depends who you get, right? So having that kind of thing, showing it's obviously a template, and worse yet, if you have like a Wix.com page that you haven't paid for, and there's like banners at the top saying like, create your free site with Wix.com today, or whatever, right? If you have those kind of things, it just represents, or rather, it doesn't represent, it communicates this idea that this person made a site and wasn't willing to pay anything for it. They made a page and they put in the minimum effort to put their stuff online. So yes, their stuff might look amazing, it might sound amazing, they might have all the skills, but that serves as a negative because you have all these plus factors, but then someone else has those plus factors too, right? And when someone else has those plus factors, and they also have this very wonderfully handcrafted attention to detail page, template or not, it doesn't matter really. If it's not obviously a template and there aren't like weird things that scream template, then they're getting the job compared to the two people, because this person is showing, you know what, this is my craft, this is my dream, I'm serious about this job, and I'm serious enough to invest in it. I'm spending the $80 or whatever it is to like get a domain and get a buy Squarespace template, whatever. Like you dump money into it because this is something you're serious about. If you can't afford, or if you don't think it's like wise to, or if you don't think it's worth that cost, then yeah, there's certainly some credence to the idea that person might not be as serious. And the thing is, that might not even be true, because I was watching like a panel with Will Roger. Will Roger, the very talented composer, and he was talking about how for marginalized groups, it can be there's this like financial gate. There's like financial gatekeeping kind of, because in audio specifically, you need like the speakers or the headphones or the audio interface or yes, thank you, Tony. Mortal Kombat, Call of Duty, Star Wars, etc. He's worked on a ton of stuff. You need like all the plugins and the DAW and whatever editing software, like all these things, and it can be thousands very easily. So the idea of saying, well, this person didn't pay for a website, they're obviously not serious. Like it might not even be true, and that's just something that you face in this. It's just it just kind of is the situation, and right now, whether we like it or not, that just is the situation. So it's not that I'm saying this is always the case. It's always the fact that someone with a template page will be worse than somebody else risk-wise. But it's just about like first impression stuff, right? And like it or not, first impressions are a thing, and they will be measured into, like they do weigh into the decision-making process. So all that said, it's kind of up to you to decide, is it worth it to you? Do you think your audio is good enough that it stands on its own and you'll get hired? It's entirely possible it is. Entirely possible. But this show is all about steps that you can take to improve your chances. That's all it comes down to. So like Tuba Hero's saying, it's like walking to a corporate interview with shorts and a t-shirt. Yeah, like you might be the best coder in the world for Microsoft. If you roll in shorts and t-shirt, there's like some walls to get past, right? Whereas if you walk in looking the part, then those walls don't exist. You can get right to the meat and potatoes of it. So anyways, Jack, I appreciate you tolerating this massive tangent, but I think it's a valuable one. Let's go ahead and watch your reel, shall we? Let's go. 3, 2, 1, and go.
Some latent tragedy hums in these walls. I can feel it. The lick of flames, the cracks in the walls, the collapse of this pocket under the weight of it all. I think it's time we leave this place.
This is Portal 2, by the way. Okay, heads up. By now, I'm not quite eyes glazing over, but we're getting there. You're flirting dangerously with with that response. At like halfway through that last clip, we'll carry on watch the whole thing though. Okay, that's all. Joe says, up for debate. If you have VO, it'd really help to have subtitles in there. I wouldn't put it in the reel. And the reason for that is because someone watching an audio reel is probably not suffering from the kinds of disabilities, or they wouldn't require the kind of accessibility that subtitles give. And they also aren't looking for that information right now. They're simply looking to assess audio things. And they're also looking at text as far as like what it is that Jack did. So having subtitles there, in my opinion, might further distract from the audio at play. But just my position. Let's watch through again. And let's bring this criteria up again. I'm going to spend these last 10 minutes going through, 12 minutes-ish, going through this reel alone, I think, Jack, because I think there's plenty to cover here. And we didn't really talk much about sound design this whole reel talk yet due to Greg's very unique approach to his reel. So criteria-wise, if we are unaware presentation, we're looking at the flow of the reel and such, all the titling, the bookends, just general, like, all audio aside, just how you crafted the thing and what it looks like. For material selection, what do the things in this reel suggest about what you want to be doing? And also your skill sets, your past work history, that kind of thing. And content quality, is it good? Period. And distinction, are you standing out? So let's work through these slowly. Presentation, I've already said, I'm going to turn my side chain back on too. I already mentioned that around 103, I was like, oh, okay. I was getting ready to skip ahead. And it's kind of like on Greg's page, Jack, how I was saying that it's, in my opinion, pretty important to have a pretty good idea, like you as the person making the reel or someone making a website. It's pretty important to know or to be like relatively certain what someone's going to do when they land on your page. And you've done a wonderful job of putting your video up front. It's very clear if you give someone your business card or email them or whatever, they stumble on you on Twitter, then they'll be like, homepage, oh, I'll watch this, right? Like it's pretty obvious. And there's like an assumption you can make there that they'll probably press play and watch the thing. So that's good. However, when you have a long reel, and if that reel is not doing the best or the most effective job of holding attention or flowing nicely or whatever, there's like a variety of factors at play, then yeah, the person might, they might feel kind of like, oh, okay, let's skip ahead and see what else is coming up. Like they might feel like, I've heard enough and what's next? And they skip. And then when they skip something, you have lost control of what they're doing now. It's not so different than Greg's front page being not super clear on like what to click first, right? And then what can happen from that is they may skip over the cool thing you wish they would have heard, you know, obviously. Or, I mean, God forbid, the worst thing that can happen is they say, oh, okay, and they close the page. That certainly happens. Happens a whole lot when you have hundreds of resumes to look through. You end up making pretty snap decisions, whether it's deserved or not. It happens pretty frequently. So let's talk about that. This is 2 minutes long. I don't think it needs to be. It seems a little bit exhaustive as far as the work you've done. And you can probably treat this much more as like a teaser trailer rather than a more comprehensive, like, here is a thorough walk through all these things I did. And if I go to your page, selected projects, let's see here. So we have more things here. I can go to Terra, and what does that give us? This gives you a video. This looks like a video of, like, from the developer, right? Not from you. It's 9 minutes long.
Joining us today.
Yeah, this is like gameplay or something, right? Cool. So this is a great place to put what you did. A narrative-driven audiovisual experience through a lost planet. 360 LiDAR, I don't know what that is, scans were used to render the visuals. So this kind of thing, I provided the full sound design. This is just like Greg's page. I would throw this, like throw a break and put the I provided full sound design like down here to make it really clear what you did. We did something kind of similar for our webpage, because the thing is, you can't expect everyone to read all your stuff, right? It's never going to happen. But like on our page, we have, hey, like Dark Ascension 2 or Darksider Genesis. This first bit is, yes, about the project, very, very brief. And the second part is always what we did, right? It's like, here's power up to this thing. Here's power to this thing, the idea. So it's probably worth doing that just to have a very easy like glance at it and see what you did. Furthermore, if I go to Obelisk, for example, what do you got? This one, oh, it's differently formatted. Sound design and implementation. So that's something else, is perhaps format things the same way on each page. If I'm clicking through, I can see it right away as far as what you did. But back to your main thing, the fact that you have these additional pages means you could do like more information. As you were saying, like narrate some content and say, here's what I did. That's a very, very good position to be in. If someone says, oh my God, like Jack is kicking ass. I want nothing more than to learn about Obelisk. If they go to the Obelisk page, then how happy would they be to have Jack Hyde waiting for them with a video saying, hey, I'm so glad you're here. I can't wait to tell you all about Obelisk. Like that's such an effective and positive thing, like positive outcome in that situation, right? And obviously, no individual is gonna like listen through every single thing you make, but all you're doing is trying to accommodate for like these different eventualities, these different consequences of having watched your demo reel. Your demo reel is like the top of the pyramid, and then at least like all these different things that could happen as a result. So you're just trying to have like answers to the maximum number of things you can, right? Like, you know, have results. So let's get back into your reel again. I'm gonna go full screen. And cool. I saw something in your name. There's like a line here. You see that? I'm sure you can see it on the stream or not. It's right in the middle of your name. I saw it on the very first time and I was like, oh, it's weird. It's cool. Nice.
Some latent tragedy.
These titles are great. Super cool. You could probably move it up slightly, like you know, maybe half of this width or depth, or what do you call that? Like to here-ish, so you don't risk things fighting with the UI. But otherwise, yeah, good. Here's the thing. Couldn't hurt to put like the developer, like who made this thing, because showing the developer or showing the platform it shipped on, if this is like, is it a game jam project? Is it on mobile? Is it on itch? Like, is it for VR? Like, I have no idea, right? And doing things like showing what the thing is shipped on shows that it was a university project. Okay, cool. So could say like, just that like personal project, whatever. It's kind of up to you to decide if you want to say student or not, because student has certain kind of like, you know, implications about that. It implies that you're not very experienced yet. So it is the first thing in your reel though. So is this the thing you are most proud of? Because that's also presentation and material selection stuff, you know? This is quite long. This is 30 seconds long almost. More, 36 seconds long. That's a lot. There's not much happening here. It's cool that you did this, and obviously you're proud of it, and you should be. I'm sure you worked very hard, but it's a slow start, super slow. And it takes until 37 seconds, to get an idea of what it is you want to be doing now. Yeah? It's tricky. And yeah, you don't need to be, that's the thing, Jack, is you don't need to be showing all that. You can say like, here's a cool thing I did, here's the gist, here's like 10 seconds. You don't need to see all of it. Here's the idea. That's all you need, really. If you want to learn more, I have this other page over here. Here we go. Like we were saying before, right? Just show, here's a thing, I did this stuff, get an idea for what it sounds like, and move on. That's plenty. Portal, as I said, is Portal 2. Get that right. It's pretty important to get the game right. Cool. Moving on. We got next 53 seconds-ish. So that was what, like 15 seconds? We got Underwater. Lorna Inman, VR artist. Great. Super cool. So this is a great example of, this is really interesting. And the idea of doing this work, like doing the VR work, is something different. And it's certainly very interactive compared to post-production. So cool. But again, you just don't need to show this much. You can cut this in half easily. It goes from like 54 seconds, 53 seconds to where? A minute and 15, 12-ish. So yeah, you just don't need that much. As Tube is saying, leave them wanting more, definitely. Bro Home. Game's great, by the way. Super cool game. Sound and music redesign. So then it comes down, do you want to do music also or not? Because that game's music is kind of ambient, isn't it? I would focus on sound design if you're looking for that for a gig. Same thing here, just cut it in half. Like, you just don't need this much at all. And this ending shocked me. I was like, whoa, Obelisk, this crazy surreal, like abstract thing into a Red Dead fistfight. Okay, let's focus in on Portal and Red Dead, because it seems that you're looking to work in AAA. That's my guess. From these two redesigns being here, redesigns tend to imply the kind of gigs you want to be working on, the kind of projects you want to be working on eventually. So, with this one, let's have at her. Well, let's do Red Dead first. This is fast. There's not much here to talk about. Red Dead 2. So there's not much in this scene. You've got like some punches, some waterfall, and some like That's kind of it. There's not much to work with in the first place. Like, you're not giving yourself a very interesting canvas, and it's also not enough going on to really adjudicate your ability in this space. And because it's so little, I'm forced to have the magnifying glass out big time. And when I do that, I hear that, for example, all your impacts for punching and kicking sound pretty similar. And it's worth like helping tell a story and like having a slight different shift in tone or frequency content or intensity or whatever when you change from like bare fists to like a boot, right? But if you listen through, I closed my eyes that time and I couldn't really tell the difference between any of the impacts, and that's certainly worth considering if you're trying to support the story of what's being told here with your audio design. The waterfall's like, yeah, it's a waterfall. You know, it's pretty straightforward to get right. So I can't really weigh on that. That's like a drag and drop effect. And the voice, it's kind of fine. The splash seemed late and kind of maybe loud for what it is and where it is. Someone mentioned Foley also, that someone mentioned Foley, and I think, yeah, having a little more, just again, supporting the story of what's being told, right? So that's your entire job as a sound designer, to support the story. And we're not really telling like what this, who's wearing what's being impacted, you know? The movement of the arms and the person needs some love, you know? It's a lot of impact only in this fight, which isn't really the full story. You have a contact at Rockstar, wanted to show good at ambiances and also some action. Sure, That's not the worst thing in the world, but I think that I would challenge you to find a little something that's a bit more varied and dynamic in this scene to show you understand like flow from moment to moment also. So we're not just dumped into like this waterfall with a fight that ends very promptly. We're now at 5:30, but we talked about that whole trust thing for a long time, so I'm gonna go a bit longer here just for Jack. I hope you don't fall asleep, man. Let's watch Portal 2. Let's go. Yeah, so there's some cool sounds in here. I like that this iris opening is pretty cool because it sounds kind of threatening, and I like that foreshadows what the boss fight is. It's a bit like the animal-ish, beast-ish, alien-ish sounding irises that open in Alien Isolation. Similar kind of feel. That's the feel I got from these, that it's like it's just threatening and it matches the space. It's cool. I would like to hear a little more like finish on the elevator. And it closes also. It seems like there's kind of this whole scene suffers from like overpowering room sound, like rumbly sound and stuff. Like, oh, this is like drowning out everything. But really, it means you're losing contour on the scene if you just let that kind of expansive sound just cover everything. The same problem happens with reverb. It's an easy track to fall into. So here, this thing finishes, the elevator finishes. You see it, like it moves a lot there. We don't really hear it though. And then the boss is certainly more the focus. You know, GLaDOS is certainly the focus in this shot, but it's important to still hear it. But when we get to the top, it's like there's a lot of rumbling, and the various like kind of mechanical like servo stuff I'm hearing isn't really obviously tied to this. Like, you know, it's kind of just, it's a bit nondescript. If I close my eyes and listen, I don't really know where the sounds are coming from. Like, there's stuff coming from all around me, and panning wise, this is all the focus. You enter this room, and what else matters, you know? Like, this is all that matters. It's right in front of you. This is a climax of the game. So hearing this way out front is going to be pretty damn important. Like, there are some cool sounds you've chosen, but I'm just not really certain that I feel they're like locked in a position in the environment, you know? And that could be just, it seems a bit washed out, like the space. It feels like there's a lot of room. So when you have more room, more reverb, that means something is farther away. Like the physics of reality, if you have direct sound and the room sound, like the reverb, the more you pull up direct sound and the more you turn down reverb, the closer to the source you are, because you're getting all direct sound, right? And then inverse, if you get an all reverb, then it's mostly reverb and the thing's far away. That's the gist. So in this, when we hear mostly the room and stuff is like ringing out and stuff, it's you just lose contour on like how big the space is and where things are located in that space. Moving on to the second half. So, this cut kind of caught me off guard. I was like, oh, we're somewhere else now. Like even a slight crossfade might help to span this gap, you know, because suddenly we're elsewhere. The explosion, and because of that, I didn't really, my first time watching it, I didn't really catch anything that happened in that first couple like seconds of that cut, because I was like, oh, I was kind of torn out, and I had to like reorient myself, so I couldn't just pay attention to your stuff naturally. That burst is nice. The blast is fine. These big like clanking glass bits, it's kind of cool. It's a bit different, like the classic like or something like some glass pane shattering. However, we do see it shatter. You know, you see a lot more pieces than that. I think some of the glass pieces make it sound really heavy glass material, which makes sense for a big, futuristic, technologically advanced facility like this. But there's way more glass there. We should hear all that glass for sure. If we see it in front of us, we should especially hear it, because suddenly your designer's liberties are taken away a bit. If you see it, we should definitely hear it. All this blorping, all the blorps of the liquid, we hear it kind of like as it's splatting. But we don't really hear like where it's coming from or anything. We hear like, again, we're being dropped right into the action of this shot, mind you. But when this glass breaks, we should for sure immediately hear like way more of that liquid moving. It's like the bouncy stuff, isn't it? Or no, it makes it so you can portal off of it, right? Yeah. It's like moon dust or something. Again, it's a little bit nondescript. I'm not hearing like the impacts, like, and in this game, the liquid landing and having an effect on its surface is a really important moment. So we shouldn't be hearing just like general nondescript kind of like liquid flow and splats. We should hear a little more like the transience of things hitting. It's not like just free flowing liquid with a general impact curve. It's like these are points in time when things are hitting. So we'll listen to it again. There's a few in there that is naturally occurring in the audio, but it sounds to me like that liquid content is like a region of sound, or like a bunch that just end up blurring together, and as a result, we lose the contour on like these big impactful hits. Like these things are so big, like these big blobs, we should hear that for sure. Like lands, and like depth too, because it's so big, It's so big, boom, 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 as opposed to like the sound of someone like, pouring out some, I don't know, like into like a puddle or into a pond, like just pouring something in there, like some kind of liquid or some kind of whatever, some kind of like blobby material. Like it's just very steady as opposed to like boom, 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 boom. And yeah, I think you're probably right. You could have like the stuff you have in there, like as a layer, but it's not doing the entire job itself. It's just not doing all the heavy lifting it should be, or it needs to be. And again, this like, whoosh, we have a sound for that lifting up, but I don't feel like it's happening in the space. It's kind of just happening, like irrespective of what I'm seeing and like where it's located. Furthermore, it's very light and thin, like the movement on GLaDOS. And I can't recall what the original game sounds like. Hey, by the way, this is a bold redesign because Portal 2 sounds bomb. It sounds super good. So to try and stand up to it is a challenge. It's a challenge you're now facing. The GLaDOS is a powerful character that represents like the threat you're facing at the end of the game, right? That said, she should sound powerful. She should sound dangerous. And this movement right here, if you listen to it again, it's like whoosh, whoosh. But some like would be great in there too. Just to say like, this is a large entity. It is large and it is dangerous. Some weight in the movement can go a long way to help sell that idea too. And it's a bit whoosh. Like that sound, I have no idea how big that thing is for that sound. It doesn't sound large though, So I think I can probably wrap it up there. Yeah, I'll wrap it up there. So I do like, just to kind of like, to wrap it up thoughts wise, I do like that you're showing you're doing stuff in Unity and Wise. As I was saying, as someone coming from post-production, you are faced with this challenge of saying, yeah, I can hang out in interactive. I know what the differences look like when I'm working in a interactive space, and I'm not only in linear. So showing you're doing implementation in Unity and Wise in a few different places, that's definitely a big positive for sure. Showing a little more, because here's what it boils down to. If you're doing a linear redesign, you have complete authority over what that's going to sound like, because you're doing it like post-production, right? It's on a timeline. So you can make it sound as awesome as you want with no concern for technical limitations. And it's really rare that someone goes so far in a redesign that I've seen, where I'm like, okay, you've done so much that this probably isn't possible in a technical from a technical standpoint. That said, when someone does a implementation showcase of some kind, there is often some leeway there. Like if someone does the Wise demo cube or Limbo, or like a Unity and Fmod for like the Viking Village demo or whatever, there's often like a bit of leeway given there, because having those kind of things in your reel show like, hey, I'm doing it. I'm doing like the hard work, like the actual interactive work that, you know, that represents all the game stuff I'm going to be doing in the future for whatever company. So when you're showing that, it's usually communicating like, I'm interested in learning these things. I'm doing it on my own, and that is proof of my passion and interest. So you've done that. That's great. It's just a matter of now you need the skills to back that up too. So having things like attention to detail in the Foley and in the space and like the dimension of things and dynamics of things, and helping shift the mix over time to reflect the story being told. Like those are all really important skills to show also. And those will mesh really nicely with this work you've already done a lot of, and that's on the implementation and technical side of things. So you've done a lot of good work so far. It's a matter of like helping your skills and your taste and such just catch up to that. So I'll probably leave it at that. I don't think you're quite standing out just yet, but there's a lot of like really, really positive stuff here. And this being a big one, Unity and Wise, seeing it again and again. You're doing a lot of work there, obviously. So that's awesome. Super good. Thanks a lot. So, and of course, like Gregory, Jack, if you have any questions after the stream, or if you have if something strikes you, or if you want to get something clarified or whatever, feel free to follow up on Twitter or email or whatever, and I'd be happy to chat. Okay. So thanks a lot. If anybody watching now feels like submitting their own work, you can do so below at Power Up Audio or at ReggieMK. Either one will reach me and the submission will work. And of course, if you're not on Twitter, that is totally okay. And you can still submit your work via our website and our contact inquiry form at powerupaudio.com. Feel free. And I guess there's only one thing to do. Let's get back to some freaking Shirobon. Oh man, let's go. I'm playing that first track again. It's so nice. I know, I'm going to buy it, man. I tried to. I swear I tried to. See, this proves I played it 3 times, not 2. Today. All right. I'm going to do it. I'm leaving this up. I'm going to buy it. Everyone, I'm going to link it one more time in the chat. Please go buy this album. Super, super good. All right, and I will see you in 2 weeks with guest host Jonas Turner. Looking forward to it. Thanks a lot.